Hi, I'm Karen. Have you ever wondered how someone who shares your blood could try to tear down everything you've worked so hard to build? I never imagined owning Healing Paws, one of the city's top animal hospitals, would make me the black sheep of my family. At 28, I've built this clinic from the ground up. I've performed life-saving surgeries that other vets wouldn't even attempt. But to my sister, Patricia, I'm just playing with pets. Another stray? She sneered one day, her designer heels clicking against my clinic's floor as she dropped off her husband's golden retriever, Max. When are you going to start doing something meaningful with your life? I kept my voice steady. That stray is a police K-9 who just took a bullet protecting his handler. Patricia barely looked up from her phone, likely checking her investment banking notifications. She didn't even notice her daughter, Jennifer, rushing in with her volunteer badge slightly crooked. "Aunt Sel, is Scout going to make it?" Jennifer asked, her voice trembling with worry for the injured dog. Before I could answer, Patricia interjected with an icy tone. "With your aunt's little hobby, he'll be lucky to survive." Jennifer shot her a glare. "Mom, stop it. Aunt Sel saves lives. Yesterday she did a 7-hour surgery on." "Enough, Jennifer," Patricia snapped. "Go get your father's dog. We're leaving." Later that evening, my parents stopped by. Not to check on Scout or my clinic, but to lecture me, as usual. "Darling," my mom began, her voice dripping with condescension. "Patricia just closed another $1 million deal. You could have been like her if you'd only listened to us." Instead of acknowledging the state-of-the-art facility around them, my dad sighed in disappointment. "You chose to waste your potential." After they left, Philip, Patricia's husband, sneaked back in with Max. "Sorry about earlier," he murmured. "Patricia doesn't know I'm here, but Max needs his checkup." "It's fine, Philip," I reassured him. "How's Jennifer?" "She misses you," he admitted. "She wants to be a vet, but Patricia, well, you know how she is." Then he handed me an envelope. "Jennifer asked me to give this to you personally. It's an invitation to her graduation. Patricia doesn't know. She'd flip if she did. But Jennifer doesn't care. She says you're her hero." I opened the envelope and tears pricked my eyes as I read Jennifer's note. "Please come, Aunt Sel. I don't care what Mom says. You're the only one who shows me it's okay to follow my heart." Looking around at the photos of animals I'd saved and the thank you cards from grateful families, I knew I'd made the right choice. Patricia might have the family's approval, but I had something better: purpose, passion, and the love of a niece who believed in me. But little did I know, Jennifer's graduation would become the day everything changed. The hall buzzed with excitement as graduates and families filled the space. I arrived late, still wearing scrubs after an emergency surgery to save Officer Martinez's K-9 partner. I scrubbed my hands, but traces of blood still lingered under my nails. Patricia's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Who let the dog doctor in? This is a respectable ceremony, not a pet parade." I tried to keep calm, but she wasn't done. "You couldn't even bother to dress properly. God, Karen, scrubs, to my daughter's graduation." "I saved a life today, Patricia," I replied evenly. "A police dog who took a bullet." "A dog," she spat. "Always with the dogs. You're an embarrassment to this family. Harvard Medical School wanted you, and you threw it all away to be a glorified pet sitter." Before I could respond, Jennifer rushed over in her gown. "Mom, stop it. Aunt Sel just saved Scout, Officer Martinez's partner. She's a hero." "Hero?" Patricia scoffed, her voice rising for everyone to hear. "She plays Dr. Destres while I manage $1 million portfolios. That's not heroic, that's pathetic." Parents were staring now, phones discreetly recording the scene. Patricia seemed to relish the attention. "You know what's really sad?" Patricia said, turning to Jennifer. "Your aunt runs a charity clinic for street animals when she could have been somebody. And now you want to follow in her footsteps? If you think I'm paying for vet school, you're delusional." Jennifer's voice trembled with anger. "Mom, Aunt Sel's hospital saved the mayor's show horse last month. She's the most respected vet in the city." "Enough," Patricia snapped. "No daughter of mine will waste her life playing Dr. Dolittle." In the corner, Philip stood silently, his phone discreetly recording every word. Or the first time, Philip's eyes met mine, and I saw it, a flicker of disgust. Not for me, but for his wife. "You want to talk about waste, Patricia?" I said, my voice steady despite my shaking hands. I save lives every day. What do you do besides shuffle money around and tear people down? Patricia's face twisted into a mask of rage. Security. This woman is harassing me at my daughter's graduation. She's unstable, probably rabid from all those filthy animals. Before I could respond, Jennifer stepped between us, tears streaming down her face. The only unstable person here is you, Mom. Ansel was in surgery for 6 hours today, saving a police dog while you were getting a massage. She builds people up, and all you do is tear them down. I'm proud to call her my aunt, and I'm going to vet school whether you like it or not. A security guard approached, but instead of removing me, he extended his hand. Dr. Karen, he said with a warm smile, you saved my daughter's horse last summer. It's an honor to meet you. Patricia's face turned purple as whispers rippled through the crowd. I caught Philip's small, satisfied smile as he continued recording, and Jennifer stood tall beside me, radiating pride. But Patricia's eyes betrayed something darker, something venomous. She wasn't done. Patricia was always dangerous when cornered, and right now she looked like a snake ready to strike. Later back at my clinic, the weight of the graduation drama still hung in the air. Jennifer sat across from me in my office, her hands trembling as she pulled a leather-bound journal from her backpack. There's something you need to see, Ansel, she said, her voice tight. I opened the journal and froze. It was one of Patricia's old diaries, the elegant handwriting a stark contrast to the venom on the pages. All anyone talks about is precious Karen and her perfect grades, one entry read. But they'll see. I'll make sure they all see her for the failure she really is. My phone buzzed, and I saw a message from Philip. Turn on Channel 7 now. The local news showed Patricia at a charity gala, smiling for the cameras as she gave a speech. Organizing this animal rescue operation has been such a privilege, she gushed. My stomach dropped. It was my rescue operation. She's been doing this for years. Philip's voice came through in another message. Those animal charity donations she brags about. All lies. She's never given a dime. She's been using your work to climb the social ladder. Jennifer flipped through more diary pages, her face pale. Look at this, she said, her voice trembling. Mom deliberately scheduled family events during your biggest surgeries and told everyone you chose animals over family. She even paid someone to spread rumors about your clinic. The revelations kept coming. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Nancy, one of Patricia's co-workers. You need to know something. Patricia's been taking credit for everyone's work at the bank. She stole my proposal last week, and others are coming forward too. Jennifer held up her phone, showing me dozens of messages from local mothers. Remember Mrs. Anderson's fundraiser? She asked. Mom didn't just mock her daughter's dress. She spread rumors that got her kicked off the school board. There are dozens of stories like this. My hands tightened on the edges of the diary as Jennifer turned to one of the final entries. Karen thinks she's so special with her little animal hospital. But what happens when no one trusts their precious pets with a vet who lost her license? A few well-placed rumors should do it. Before I could respond, Philip burst into the office, his face pale. She's planning something big. I overheard her on the phone, Philip said grimly. She's trying to get your clinic investigated. After what happened at the graduation, she's desperate. Why does she hate me so much? I asked, the weight of years of sabotage pressing down on me. Jennifer hesitated, then turned to the last page of the journal. Her voice trembled as she read aloud. Everyone loves Karen because she's genuine. They see through my perfect life, my perfect clothes, my perfect lies. She has everything I never will, respect, purpose, real love, and I'll destroy her for it. My phone buzzed, exploding with notifications. Patricia's colleagues were coming forward on social media, exposing years of toxic behavior. The perfect facade she had built was crumbling. Philip's face hardened as he read the diary entry over Jennifer's shoulder. This ends now, he said firmly. She's not just toxic, she's dangerous, and I won't let her hurt anyone else. Looking at the evidence piling up around us, I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. Patricia's web of lies and manipulation had entangled countless lives. But as her carefully constructed image began to collapse, one question haunted me. What would a cornered snake do next? The morning sky turned gray as Patricia stormed into her office, only to find her personal items neatly packed into boxes. 2 security guards stood waiting alongside the HR director, who held a thick file. Misconduct, harassment, falsifying credentials, stealing colleagues' work. The director said coolly, listing the charges. We've received over 20 complaints. Your promotion is rescinded, and your employment is terminated, effective immediately. Patricia's scream echoed through the building. This is all Celandine's fault. That pathetic pet doctor. Her former assistant stepped forward, phone in hand, recording everything. Your downfall is entirely your own doing, she said. Across town, in a sleek law office, Philip signed the final divorce papers. I want full custody of Max, he stated firmly. I've documented Patricia's cruelty to animals. She kicked him last week for shedding on her designer rug. My phone buzzed with an excited call from Jennifer. Aunt Cell. Cornell Vet School, full ride. They loved the recommendation letters from Officer Martinez and the K-9 unit. Don't tell your mother, I started, but Jennifer cut me off. Mom's too busy watching her life implode, she said. The country club group chat is exploding. Remember Mrs. Harrison's charity auction? Mom sabotaged it. Everyone's sharing stories now. She's been uninvited from every social event this season. The clinic door chimed, and I looked up to see my parents walking in, their expressions shaken. My dad clutched his phone, showing me a viral video of Patricia's meltdown at her office. Honey, my mom's voice cracked, tears in her eyes. We saw your segment on the news. The therapy animals for the children's hospital. The rescue operations. The K-9 unit. We were so wrong about you. Before I could respond, my assistant rushed in. Dr. Karen, the mayor's here with Scout and the entire K-9 unit. The clinic filled with uniformed officers, rescued animals, and grateful clients. The mayor stepped forward, presenting me with a community service award as news cameras rolled. Among the crowd, Patricia's former social circle stood awkwardly in their designer outfits, a stark contrast to the scrubs, uniforms, and everyday clothes surrounding them. Mrs. Peterson, the former social chair, approached me hesitantly. We had no idea what kind of person Patricia really was, she admitted. She portrayed you as a failure, but you're the one making a real difference. I looked around my clinic, taking in the photos of lives saved, the thank you cards on the walls, and the people whose hearts and homes had been healed. For the first time, I truly felt the depth of what I had built. Patricia had lost everything she valued: status, power, control. But I had gained something she never could: genuine love, respect, and purpose. Her perfect facade had shattered, revealing the emptiness beneath it. Meanwhile, my so-called shameful career had built a legacy of healing and hope. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting better. Have you noticed how toxic people often hide behind a perfect image? What hurts more, public humiliation or years of silent sabotage? Share your thoughts below. Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra Jimmy, a successful real estate agent and the founder of Jimmy Real Estate Group. My journey here wasn't easy. I turned my experiences with betrayal and property fraud into a mission to help others find safe, trustworthy homes. After exposing my ex-husband Adam and his sister Linda's criminal network, I dedicated myself to developing affordable housing projects, including homes for survivors of domestic abuse. My story proves that sometimes losing everything paves the way to building something even better. Look at you, crushing it again this month, another property sold. Susan said, grinning. Thanks, Susan. Yeah, being a realtor has really paid off. We were sitting at our usual coffee spot, reminiscing about how far I'd come. 5 years of hard work had bought me that beautiful 2-story house in Oak Ridge when I was just 32, long before I met Adam. Back then, Adam seemed perfect. Charming, supportive, always bragging to people about how his wife had bought their house all on her own. How's Adam handling the family business these days? Susan asked. You know how it is with those Chen Enterprises meetings, I said with a sigh. He's been coming home later and later. As if on cue, Linda showed up, uninvited as usual. Adam's sister had moved back to town 3 months ago after her divorce, and somehow she was always around. Sandra, I was just driving by and saw you here. Adam asked me to remind you about dinner tonight, she said, smiling in that overly sweet way I come to dread. I forced a polite smile. Thanks, Linda. But he could have just texted me himself. Oh, you know how busy he gets, she replied, waving her hand dismissively. By the way, I was thinking that guest room of yours would make a perfect home office for me since I'm helping with the family business now. Susan shot me a knowing look. We both knew Linda hadn't worked a day since her divorce. Later that day, I was checking the mailbox when my neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, waved me over. "How are you holding up, dear? George and I notice Linda's car here almost every day now." "She's just going through a tough time with a divorce," I said, trying to sound casual. "Well, we're right next door if you ever need anything or anyone to keep an eye on things," she offered. That night, I tried talking to Adam about setting boundaries with Linda. "Babe, don't start this again," he said, his tone sharp. "She's family." "But it's like she's trying to move in. And why is she suddenly involved in company decisions?" His expression darkened. "What's that supposed to mean? You don't trust my sister." His defensiveness was new, and it stung. "Hey, I've got another late meeting tomorrow. Don't wake up," he added, brushing past me while checking his phone again, something he'd been doing a lot lately. The warm, attentive man I married was disappearing, replaced by someone distant and secretive. Every time I brought up Linda, he either shut down or got angry. Then things took a darker turn. One afternoon, Linda cornered me in the kitchen, sliding a stack of papers across the table. "The Chens have always kept property in the family name. It's tradition, Sandra. You understand, right?" she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. I stared at the transfer documents, my hands trembling. "My savings bought this house before I even met Adam. There's no tradition here." Her smile didn't falter. "Don't be difficult. Adam agrees it's for the best." A week later, I noticed thousands missing from our joint account, transferred to an account I didn't recognize. When I confronted Adam, his explanation made no sense. "It's just temporary business expenses. Stop questioning everything," he snapped. One evening, I came home early and overheard voices from the study. I crept closer. "She's getting suspicious about the money," Linda whispered. "We need to speed this up." "Just keep pressuring her about the house," Adam replied. "If she won't sign willingly, we'll find another way." My blood ran cold. The next morning, Mrs. Thompson stopped me at the mailbox again. "Sandra, I don't mean to intrude, but George and I noticed something yesterday. Linda was bringing strange men into your house while you were at work. They had briefcases. It didn't feel right." That night, I installed cameras in the common areas. 2 days later, I watched the footage in horror as Linda rifled through my personal files and made calls. Adam was helping her. The final blow came when I found Linda in the backyard, burning my clothes in a metal trash can. "What the hell are you doing?" I screamed. "Teaching you a lesson about cooperation," she hissed. "Sign the papers, or next time, it'll be worse." I ran inside to call the police, but Adam grabbed my arm. "You really want to do that? Think carefully about your next move," he warned, his grip tightening. In his eyes, I saw a stranger. "Sign the transfer papers. Now?" "No." He slammed his hand against the wall beside my head, fury etched into his face. "You ungrateful. After everything my family's done for you." That night, while Adam was sleeping, I packed a small bag and drove to the bank. My hands shook as I opened a safe deposit box and placed inside it my passport, birth certificate, property deed, and USB drives containing the damning footage. On my way home, my phone buzzed with a text from Susan. "Did you get everything somewhere safe?" "Yes," I replied. "But I'm scared about what happens next." Another buzz. "Stay strong. We've got evidence now. They won't get away with this." If only I had known then just how deep their deception ran. The house was only the beginning. "Sandra, you need to see this," David said the next morning, sliding a folder across his desk. My friend at the bank noticed irregularities with Chen Enterprises accounts. Flipping through the pages, my heart sank. Millions of dollars siphoned through shell companies, all leading back to Linda and Adam. "And there's more," David continued. "Remember Linda's divorce?" My contact dug deeper. Turns out, she ran a similar scheme with her ex-husband's family business. Property fraud, embezzlement, fake investments, the works. He pointed to more documents. They're billing for construction on a property that doesn't exist, buying materials that never arrive. That evening, my doorbell rang. It was Mrs. Thompson, clutching a USB drive. "Our security cameras caught something yesterday," she said. "Linda used a key to enter your house around 2 p.m. She left with folders." The footage showed Linda and 2 unidentified men carrying boxes out of my home. My stomach churned, but Mrs. Thompson gave me a reassuring smile. Don't worry. George made copies before giving this to you. He made you retire from the force, but he still knows how to gather evidence. With Susan's help, we created a detailed timeline. Missing money, bruises, threatening texts, everything was documented. Look at this pattern, Susan said, pointing at the chart. Every time you refused to sign something coincidentally happened to your property. Through David's connections, I met other victims. In hushed conversations at coffee shops and private rooms, their stories poured out. She convinced my parents to invest their retirement fund, one woman, Jenny, said, wiping her tears. Then the company disappeared overnight. She married my brother and tried to transfer his properties into her name. Michael, another victim, shared. When he refused, she fabricated abuse allegations. David's contact from financial crimes unearthed more damning evidence. Offshore accounts in the Caymans, years of tax evasion, and forged documents attempting to transfer my property. My signature was on the papers, but I had never seen them before. They're getting desperate, David warned. Be careful. That afternoon, I overheard Linda on the phone in the backyard. The signature's perfect, Adam. Once we file these tomorrow, the house is mine. Then we can move forward with a development plan. A text from Susan lit up my phone. Got the recording. Adding it to the evidence file. Later that evening, reviewing the evidence with David's contact, the full scope became clear. Adam and Linda weren't just after my house. They were using Chen Enterprises as their personal piggy bank, orchestrating a massive fraud scheme. For the first time in months, I allowed myself to smile. The truth was about to explode in their faces. The next day, I stood before the Chen family board, my evidence neatly organized in folders. Adam and Linda sat at the table, smug and unsuspecting. I began my presentation, playing the security footage first. Adam's parents watched in stunned silence as their children's betrayal unfolded on the screen. This is just the beginning, I said. Your children have been systematically destroying this company. Chaos erupted. Adam's father slammed his fist on the table. Get our forensic accountants in here. Now. Linda burst into the boardroom, her anger barely concealed, but she froze when she saw her ex-husband, James, standing beside me. Tell them, Linda, he said, his voice sharp. Tell them how you did the same thing to my family. James placed a stack of files on the table, every page a testament to Linda's schemes. Within hours, company auditors uncovered the full extent of the fraud. Investors began pulling out as the news spread, and Chen Enterprises' stock plummeted. Later, in the parking lot, Linda cornered me. Her eyes burned with fury. You think you've won, she hissed. I still have one card to play. But her threat was empty. Federal agents, who had been monitoring her for weeks, were waiting for her to access a hidden offshore account. She walked right into their trap. Linda Chen, you're under arrest for wire fraud, money laundering, and criminal conspiracy. The dominoes fell quickly after that. Adam's business partners turned on him, revealing his role in an international money laundering network spanning 3 continents. Your evidence helped us crack a case we've been tracking for years, the lead investigator told me. From my office window, I watched as Adam was led out in handcuffs, news cameras capturing the fall of the once mighty Chen siblings. Their empire was crumbling. 3 months later, I sold the house and used the proceeds to launch Jimmy Real Estate Group. My first project focused on developing affordable housing on land the Chens had tried to steal. One day, my assistant announced, "You've got visitors." It was the Thompsons, their smiles warm and familiar. "We're looking to downsize, dear," Mrs. Thompson said. "Thought we'd give our favorite realtor the listing." That afternoon, Susan burst into my office, a bottle of champagne in hand. "Have you seen this?" she asked, pointing to her phone. Linda got 15 years, returned to sender. A year later, I stood in my new office overlooking the city. On my desk was a framed magazine cover. Jimmy Real Estate Group. Building trust, not empires. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Guess who's getting an extended sentence for trying to run schemes from inside? I smiled, deleting the message. Linda would never change. Neither would Adam. But I had. "Your next appointment's here," my assistant called. A young couple walked in, their hopeful faces a reminder of where I'd been years ago. "Let's find you a home you can trust," I said, pulling out listings. Behind them, through the window, I could see my latest project, affordable homes for survivors of domestic abuse. A large sign read, "Building New Beginnings." The irony wasn't lost on me. Adam and Linda had wanted my house, my dignity, my future. Instead, they lost everything, while I built something bigger than they could ever have imagined. Sometimes karma works through real estate. Turning back to the couple, I asked, "Tell me about your dream home." "What about you? What would you do if you discovered your partner and their sibling weren't just after your house, but were part of a criminal network? Would you gather evidence quietly like I did or confront them immediately?"